Hi, Eileen Veilleux The Fam here. Welcome to part 2 in our mini mental health series on stuttering. In part 1, we went over the causes, signs, and symptoms of stuttering. And in part 2, we are going to be going over the diagnosis and treatment of it. But before we begin, let me just remind you to please watch the full video, because throughout the video there will be 3 keywords. When I get to the keyword, I will say keyword, then what that keyword is. At the end of the video, in the comment section, along with a genuine comment about the video, put in what the 3 keywords are to be eligible for my free merch giveaway when I reach 2,000 subscribers. So let's get started. So how do they diagnose stuttering? Well, diagnosis is made by a mental health professional trained to, keyword, evaluate and treat children and adults with speech and language disorders. Now, these people are called a speech-language pathologist. The speech-language pathologist observes the adult or child speak in different types of situations. Now, if you are the parent of a child that stutters, the doctor or speech-language pathologist may ask questions about your child's history, including when or she began stuttering and when stuttering is most frequent. They may ask questions about how stuttering affects your child's life, such as relationships with others and school performance. They may also talk to your child and may ask him or her to read out loud to watch for subtle differences in speech. They may also differentiate between the repetition of syllables and mispronunciation of words that are normal in young children, and stuttering that's likely to be a long-term condition. They may also rule out any underlying condition that may cause irregular speech, such as Tourette's syndrome. Now, if you are an adult who stutters, the doctor or speech-language pathologist may ask you questions about your health history, including when you began stuttering and when stuttering is most frequent. They will also rule out any underlying health condition that could cause stuttering. They'll want to know what treatment you tried in the past, which can help determine what type of treatment approach may be best. They will also ask you questions to better understand how stuttering affects you. And they'll want to know how stuttering has impacted your relationships, school performances, career, other areas of your life, and how much stress it causes. Now, as far as the treatment of stuttering, after a comprehensive evaluation by a speech-language pathologist, a decision about the best treatment approach can be made. Several different approaches are available to treat children and adults who stutter. Because of varying issues and needs, a method or a combination of methods that's helpful for one may not be effective for someone else. Treatments may not eliminate all stuttering, but it can teach skills to help to improve your speech fluency, develop effective communication, participate fully in school, work, and social activities. A few examples of treatment approaches, not in any particular order of effectiveness though, may and will include, keyword, speech therapy. Speech therapy can teach you to slow down your speech and learn to notice when you stutter. You may speak very slowly and deliberately when beginning speech therapy, but over time you can work up to a more natural speech pattern. Electronic devices. Several electronic devices are available to enhance fluency. Delayed auditory feedback requires you to slow your speech, or the speech will sound distorted through the machine. Another method mimics your speech. so that it sounds as if you're talking in unison with someone else. Small electronic devices are worn during daily activities. Ask a speech language pathologist for guidance on choosing a device if you choose that route. Also, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a type of psychotherapy that can help you learn to identify and change ways of thinking that might make stuttering worse. It can also help you to resolve stress, anxiety, or self-esteem problems related to stuttering. And parent-child interaction. Parental involvement in practicing techniques at home is a key part of helping a child cope with stuttering, especially with some methods. Follow the guidance of the speech language pathologist to determine the best approach for your child. Now, as far as medications, although some medications have been tried for stuttering, no drugs have been provided yet to help the problem. So there is no real medication, just different type of therapies, speech language machines. So how do you cope and support somebody that stutters? Well, the first thing, if you're a parent of a child who stutters, these tips could help you out. Listen intently to your child. Maintain natural eye contact when he or she speaks. Wait for your child to say the word he or she is trying to say. Don't jump in to complete the sentence or thought. Set aside some time when you and your child can talk without distractions. Meal times can provide an especially good opportunity for conversation. And speak very slowly in an unhurried way. If you speak in this way, your child will often do the same, which may help decrease their stuttering. Take turns in talking. Encourage everyone in the family to be a good listener and take turns talking. Strive for calm. Do your best to create a relaxed, calm atmosphere at home in which your child feels comfortable to speak freely. And don't focus on your child stuttering. Try not to draw attention to the stuttering during daily interactions. Don't expose your child to situations that create a sense of urgency, pressure, or a need to rush, or that require your child to speak in front of others. And praise your child rather than criticize them. It's better to praise your child for speaking clearly than to draw attention to the stuttering. If you correct your child's speech, do it in a gentle, positive way. Accept your child just as he or she is. Don't react negatively or criticize or punish your child for stuttering. This can add feelings of insecurity and self-consciousness. Support, encouraging can make a big difference. Now, if you're an adult that has a friend that stutters, pretty much you can apply a lot of them same things to the situation. Don't criticize them when they stutter. Be patient. Talk slow so they will understand. Be encouraging. Never bring attention to anybody's problems negatively, because that's only going to hinder the problem. It's going to make them feel angry. It's going to make them feel insecure. And it's going to cause more distress on the child or the adult. People that stutter don't stutter on purpose. Remember that. And they don't want to be made fun of. Let me tell you something. I didn't stutter, but with my poor vision growing up, and even as an adult, when people bring negative things to me dealing with my eyesight. I'll give you an instance. When I go to like Home Depot to look for plants or Lowe's or anything like that, and I have to look closely at it, and I get somebody coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I feel so bad for you when I'm going to donate my eyes." To me, that's negativity. I don't need that. Nobody does. They don't want anybody to feel sorry for them. They don't want you to pity them. They just want love and understanding and encouragement. So if you have an adult friend that stutters, or maybe it's your other half, it doesn't matter whether it's a child or an adult. Always be understanding. Talk slow so they can, when they see that you're talking slower, they can understand. To them, when you talk fast and then they talk fast and they can't keep up, that's kind of like if you're English and you don't know Spanish and you're around a bunch of Spanish people or French people, or it doesn't matter what nationality, but they're speaking their own language, you don't understand what they're saying. But if they would just speak some of that language slowly, you'll catch on some of the words. So it's much easier, with us English, with anybody that stutters, talk slower like this, so they will talk slower. They can learn to say the words slowly. When I grew up, I was raised to look at a word. You don't just read it out. You look at a word, okay? And you break it down. Like the word diagnosis. 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 And you do it. Now, some names, you can't always do that with people's names. So, for instance, this you may think is a little funny. I thought it was looking back at it. When I first met my late husband, I had to make a phone call for him to have his car towed because he was taking care of his daughter. I have just a smidgen of Irish in me. Of French, excuse me. I'm 99% all Irish. And being, like I just said, looking at a word and breaking it down and stuff. His name is spelled Veilleux. So looking at the way he wrote it down, it was like Billy X. To me, that's the way the word is spelled. So when I called, I said, yes, we need a tow truck for Ronald Billy X. He laughed at it, and he taught me to pronounce the proper way of saying it. In English, it's broken down into two words. Veil, as like a wedding veil, and Lou, as in Mary Lou, and you put them together, Veilleux, Veilleux, Veilleux. And in French, it's the same, it's Ve and Yer. But they have their little things where they can roll and stuff, but I can't roll my tongue. So, names are not that way, but just simple words can be hard for people to say that stutter. And bringing it up to them, bringing attention to it, is going to make them feel more anxiety, more stress. It's more helpful if you just talk slow, be patient, and let them work it out in their head so they can talk. Okay, now my message to you, to each and every one of you out there, I'm getting close because I want you to hear this message. I love each and every one of you for who you are. I don't care if you have a mental disability or a physical disability or no disability. We were all uniquely made. And you're all important. We're all put here for a reason. So each one of us are important. No one on this earth is better than the other. We may have some talents that we can do better than others in, but it does not mean that we're better. We are all equal. And I love you for you. And I want to teach you how to be this way to others. And the only way you can do that is when you learn to see with your heart instead of your eyes, because your eyes can mislead you. They can get you in trouble. They can get you hurt. They can hurt others. Because you don't know what's on the inside. You don't know what that person's gone through. You don't know what their life has been. You don't know whether they have a mental illness or a physical illness that's not visible. There's some chronic illnesses out there that's not a mental illness, but it's a chronic physical illness like fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease. There's a lot of things that's not visible to the eye. That's why it's so important to see with the heart. When you see with the eye, you can't see people's mental illnesses all the time. You can't tell just by looking at them what's wrong with them. You can't tell if they have a mental illness or a physical illness or no illness. But if you get to know the person by looking inside with your heart, you'll find out what's going on, and you can be there to help them out, to encourage them, strengthen them, uplift them, inspire them. Because when you do these things, at that point, you release endorphins inside of you that help heal your body in more ways than one. So always remember to look with your heart and not your eyes. And until I see you again, I love each and every one of you. Bye.